everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. Last week we had a dismal showing in Twilight Inscription, so we're continuing Space Month on the channel with a debut game. We're going to debut Tiny Epic Galaxies from Gamelyn Games. In this game, we're building up our galaxy with the goal of getting to 21 victory points first. The actions we can take will be controlled by our dice rolls, but we do have some mitigation on that front, and I'll detail that when we need to use it. I'll also explain how the actions work on the dice as I roll them. So with that, let's look at our starting galaxy and the AI opponent. To the shock of probably almost no one, I'm going to be doing everything in red today. So we've got the options, we've got the Empire power track, cultures in there, where is the... and then the energy cube is hidden in the bag, along with our 4 ships. So when we move over to the board, that'll probably make more sense. When we move over to the main player board. So we've got tracks for resources, we gain energy from that die, and then when we roll the colony die, we can either utilize one of the planets that we've colonized or upgrade the Empire, spending only energy or culture for the next level up cost, essentially. And then based on the level of the Empire, we'll determine how many dice we get to roll each turn and how many ships we have out to use on a given turn. So that's everything set up for me. I'll move this over to the board and get everything set up, and then we'll bring in our AI opponent. Here's the rogue galaxy that we're going to be playing against today. So, as a reminder, 21 victory points means game over. You can see the various actions that the rogue colony would take, depending on the level of the Empire they're at. You can pause that to read it there. I'll only go through those when they become relevant. The rogue Empire will start with, the rogue galaxy, I should say, will start off with no culture or energy. Energy is used for additional ships, it looks like. And for rerolls, actually. Culture can be used to follow actions as we use it, but the AI uses it a little bit differently. So when their culture track gets maxed out, they get to take 3 free actions from the dice that I don't have the option to follow, and I'll explain more about how that works when it becomes relevant in the game. And when they get to when their energy gets maxed out, they upgrade, going up to their next one. When they both get maxed out, I believe you take the upgrade first. Yes, resolve energy first, then culture. Alright, so that's the rogue galaxy setup. Unlike us, they will be using all 4 of their ships from the start of the game. So with that, we can move over to the main board and see how everything's set up. I'm probably going to end up playing with this layout a little bit, just because I need to be able to build both galaxies down so I can track the number of victory points that each side has. We've also got our activation bay here, so you can see how the dice work, how each of the faces on the dice work. You can pause that to read it there. Then for the converter, we do have 2. We can spend 2 dice to convert a third one to any face we want. But we can only do that once per round. And then there's the rogue galaxy to help me explain how the rogue galaxy behaves. Mentioning here that I can pay 1 culture and 1 energy to reroll any rogue galaxy die before it's activated. Let's go through our starting planets next. So our first starting planet is Marad. It's an economy planet, which is what that face is. We also have diplomacy planets, and I think culture planets. Wait a minute, what is that? I gotta double check what that face means. I don't know if it necessarily how much you acquired for each of your planet. Okay, so that's a resource we can gain based on how many planets of each type we're on or orbiting. And 1 energy per ship on your galaxy card. Okay? So as a colony use action, if your Empire level is the lowest or tied for the lowest, upgrade your Empire for 1 less resource. And I forgot to mention on the upgrading your Empire, you spend only culture or energy for the next upgrade, and you can You might have been able to see it a little bit better when we were looking at the Empire close up, but the number of resources it costs is on the track that the star token is on. So our second planet is Ogmore. It's another energy planet. It's a diplomatic planet. Acquire a culture for every ship landed in your galaxy. This one, we have La Torres. It's another culture planet. It's a culture planet, another diplomatic. Steal 1 energy from another player only once during your turn. And Nakagawakazi, I probably just butchered the pronunciation of that. Another energy diplomatic planet. 3 orbit on that. It's worth 3 victory points. I did forget to mention that that number is how many it's worth. And we can spend 2 energy to advance +2 economy, and that's probably on 1 planet. So, yes. Okay. So that is all set up. I think we're all set to get into this first game, so let's go ahead and jump in with who takes the first turn. I believe we take the first turn, but yep. So let's drop into our first turn. All right, we'll start off with getting our 4 dice for our current Empire level. Go ahead and give these a roll, and the actions on these will dictate what we get to do for the turn. Okay, so we actually have quite a bit that we can use. So we can use the 2 energy dice to gain 2 energy, so that'll bring us up to 4. Then we'll utilize the colony die here. I'll just show that we had 2 energy earlier. We'll utilize that to upgrade our Empire right away. So we'll spend 2 energy to get a free 5th die next turn, that's basically a free die. And then the economy planet, the economy die, will let us advance on an economy planet, but we don't get to use that, so that die goes to waste. Not a great start, but hopefully something we can work with. So the Rogue Galaxy takes their actions in a similar fashion, but they roll their dice 1 at a time. So I've got an extra Appa Shaker that I bought just for the occasions where I was using either smaller dice or smaller quantities of dice. So we'll go ahead and roll these up 1 at a time, and they're rolling 5 dice to start with. All right, that culture means they gain a culture for every ship. So they actually gain 4 culture because they've got all 4 of their ships. Once again, this is my first game using the Appa Shaker, so you guys can tell me in the comments section if you guys think it's annoying or not. You can easily stick with using the dice cup with some bigger dice, but then we've got energy for 4 energy. So that goes there. 3rd die for the Rogue Galaxy. Moving to a planet, they'll move to the first one from the left. 4th die. There's another energy. I think I'm going to make them re-roll that one, because I don't want them gaining another 4 energy and being able to take an upgrade right away. That's another culture, so they're going to get 3 unfollowable actions that I can't do anything about. That's at the end of the turn. Oop, come on. All right. So that was probably an even worse idea, but you live and learn, right? So their last action for the turn that I could theoretically follow is culture, but that doesn't do anything for them. So now they get to take 3 actions, 3 free actions that I don't get to follow. Moving to another planet, so they'll move out to Ogmore, if I can ever remember to put the ship down. gaining more energy. I don't think they get the... I don't think they'd get it again. Actually, yeah, I don't think they'd get it again if... Can't occur again until the end of the Rogue Galaxy's turn. So I don't think they get the energy effect as well. And utilizing the colony action, which right now is... I lose 1 energy. That's not great for us. So the culture drops down to... drops down back down to the minimum for them. So now it's back to my turn. That's not a great roll either. Alright, so I will... Oh, I get a 5th die because I upgraded my Empire. Actually, I'll just toss this into the Appa Shaker. Another move. So, unfortunately, the... 2 of the moves are going to go to waste unless I go for... Alright, so, right. So what do I want to do with my ships? I think I want to send 1 to... Marad. So that'll be the move. Then I'll use this economy die to advance on Marad. Then I'll convert these 2 moves that I don't need into an economy face to advance again. So I'm 1 away from colonizing Marad right now. Then for the Rogue Galaxy, they'll take their turn here. Once again, rolling their 5 dice 1 at a time. First up is Diplomacy, which actually does let them advance. They would get to advance all of their ships on all Diplomacy planets, but they only have 1 out right now. And I don't have any culture to follow anything here. I don't have any resources to follow anything, period. Alright, that's a move, so they go out to La Torres as well. Next roll is a colony action, which doesn't do anything for them because we have no energy to lose. Moving out to Nakaga Wakozi. I'm just going to call it Naga. And then their last die for the turn is advancing on economy. So they move, so they advance there, and that's the only one. So thankfully we dodged a bullet on the economy, or the diplomacy planets, I should say. All right, so our next turn Alright, well, this economy die will let us advance on Marad and finish that out. So we gain 2 victory points going up to 3. I'll put that down there. So now we have an option for an additional upgrade. Then we replace the new planet with Nibiru. It's a culture planet for 7 victory points. We gain a culture when we take resources. Enemies must now pay 2 culture per follow this turn, only during your turn. So that ship goes back to their galaxy. I will use the move to move to Nibiru. Then I'll use the... This isn't great. It's going to end up wasting the turn, but I'll advance on Nibiru, and then the other 2 dice will end up going to waste. So that's it for my turn. Going into the Rogue Galaxy's turn. Gaining a culture. Do they gain culture? I think they just gain culture for every ship they have, don't they? Oh, it produces both. So I had that wrong the first time. Okay, so they gain another... Okay, so they gain... As if it were a player, so they gain it as if it were... Whoops. Just double checking something here. For each of your planets on or orbiting planets with a matching symbol, acquire 1 energy for each ship on your galaxy card. So right now they only produce... Looks like they only produce 1 culture, which isn't terrible. Because they only have 1... Actually, no, they gain 2 culture because they've got 2... They've got a ship out there as well. Moving to another planet, so they're moving to Nibiru, coming to join us. Utilizing a colony means I lose an energy, not that I had one to lose. Economy, except they don't advance on economy, so that's considered unfollowable. And then their last die. Is producing energy, so they gain... They would gain 3 energy technically, but that one's going to go to waste. So for the end of the turn, they will upgrade. So now the action is I lose a culture instead of losing an energy, which might be better in the grand scheme here, but we'll find out soon enough. It is my turn once again. Okay, well, right now it's all diplomacy, so those economy rolls are a massive waste. I'll use the diplomacy to advance on Nibiru. Then I'm going to convert the 2 economy into another diplomacy. What do I want to convert it into? A diplomacy or a move? I could also stand to produce here. Yeah, I'm going to produce a culture. I'm actually going to convert that into a culture so I can produce 2 culture because I currently have a ship out on a culture planet and I have 1 still in the shipyard. Then I'll use this colony die to use the colony action from Mared. If your empire level is the lowest or tied for the lowest, I upgrade my empire for 1 less resource. So in that case, I will spend 2 culture to upgrade to level 3 since I'm tied for the lowest at level 2. So now I get a 3rd ship and I'm still rolling 5 dice. So that's it for my turn. We'll go ahead and roll for the Rogue Galaxy. Their first action is advancing on all economy, except that doesn't do anything for them. Wouldn't mind seeing some of those blanks. They got a few blanks on these dice. There's another economy, so that's a welcome blank. That's a move, which is another blank for them. Energy, which actually produces both for them, so they gain 2 of each. So 2 culture, 2 energy. Then their last die is diplomacy. This one's actually bad because it lets them advance. Everything right now is diplomacy, so they get to advance everywhere. That's unfortunate for us, but the damage could have been a lot worse. I can guarantee you that right now. So, back to our turn. Let's see if we can try to get out of this mess somehow. Because right now, this is actually worth 19 victory points. So if they roll a lot of diplomacy, we're in deep trouble. Okay. Okay, that's not great either, but... Well, I'll use the move to send a ship to... send a ship to Naka. Then I'll produce 2 energy with that die. Then I'll use this one to produce another 2 because I could use a lot more energy. Then I'll use the culture or the diplomacy to advance on Nibiru, trying to stay ahead of that. Then I'll use the upgrade a colony or upgrade the empire action to clean myself out of energy but get another upgrade on my empire. So now I'm up to rolling 6 dice and I still have my 3 ships. Then for the Rogue Galaxies turn, hopefully they give us another turn of a lot of blanks like we had last turn. Alright, that's actually kind of a blank for us right now because we don't have a culture to lose. Moving is also a blank because they have all their ships out. Oh, wait a minute. Oh. Okay, never mind. I thought I was panicking for a second, but we're fine. Producing energy, so they get 2 of each, which will max out their culture. Energy, which will now max out their energy as well. And culture, which once again produces 2 of each, but that's effectively a blank. So they'll upgrade again, which means now their action becomes Rogue Galaxy steals 1 culture. And then these 3 actions, these 3 dice I'm about to roll are considered unfollowable actions. Utilizing a colony, which is essentially a blank right now. Because we still don't have culture, we don't have culture to steal. Advancing on all diplomacy planets, that's actually bad. And advancing on economy, so that's a slight relief. Now for the level we're at, we get 6 dice. Okay, the economy, I see an economy in there that's going to prove highly useless right now. So, well, I'm going to use an energy to gain 2 energy. Another one to gain another 2. A culture to gain 1 culture. And then I will use these 2 to convert this to a diplomacy to advance on Nibiru. So hopefully we don't get burned on that one. Rogue Galaxies turn next. Moving to a planet, but that's a blank right now. We have to regress the culture back. Culture produces 2 of each for them, so 2 and 2. They're rolling 6 dice now as well. Economy is a blank, thankfully. Colony means they steal a culture. And energy, so they produce 2 of each, which maxes them both out. So they'll upgrade their empire first, forcing me to regress one of my ships on Nibiru. They had one more die, actually. I forgot about that. The regression is still going to happen, ultimately, but utilizing a colony, I don't have any more culture to steal. So the regression already happened. 3 unfollowable dice. This is bad. Utilizing a colony, which is a blank. Advancing on all diplomacy, that could be catastrophic, but it does finish them La Torres, which gives them 2 victory points. So they're at 6 right now to my 5. Advance, so they're caught up to me on Nibiru, thanks to the regression. Then the retreat reveals, or the new planet, is K-Widow, an economy planet, which produces culture, and when you utilize it as a colony, regress an enemy ship -1. I think I was landed on a planet there. Then their last unfollowable die is utilizing a colony, so still nothing to steal. Before I get into my next turn, I need to take a small break. So I'm potentially facing disaster here, especially if I can't advance, especially if I can't clear Nibiru this turn. Which that will not help me with. Let's see if I can try to get out of this mess, though. I'll use a move to send one of my ships over to K-Widow. Then I'll use a diplomacy to advance on Nibiru, staying 1 ahead. Hopefully that'll be enough, but I'm far from sure it will be. Then I'll use 2 culture dice to get me a total of, what is that going to be? 1, 2, 3, 4 culture. I haven't been paying attention to following either, so I do need to keep an eye on that. Then I'll use an economy die to advance on K-Widow. And utilize a colony? No. That one's gonna end up going to waste, unfortunately. So hopefully hopefully we can get out of this disaster. This brewing disaster. Following a couple diplomacies would be very welcome on that score. There's a move, so they'll send a ship out to K-Widow. I don't have anything to follow with. Utilizing a colony. I'm gonna make them re-roll that one. Mostly because I want to try to get a diplomacy to follow. That's a move. I can deal with that being a blank. 3. Is an economy which they advance on K-Widow. I could pay a resource to follow that, but I'd rather have the resources available to follow at least 1 diplomacy. That's a move. That's essentially a blank for them. Utilizing a colony, so we're going to make them re-roll that one. I really don't want to be having my culture stolen from under me. I think we're just going to have to bite the bullet on that one, unfortunately. It's not even worth paying the energy to try to follow that one, especially when I need it to follow diplomacy. That's an energy, so they produce 2 of each, and I'm not going to bother following that. So 1, 2... Yeah, 2 of each. That could have been a lot worse. Hopefully we can make something work here, but we'll find out. Huh. That's not great, but it's probably workable. So I'll use a use a diplomacy to advance on Nibiru. Then... I don't think they actually steal culture anymore. So... Oh, right. So their action would have been... Right, so their action would have been regress one of my ships -1, so they don't have that stolen culture. I'll regress that Nibiru ship. Then we'll use the 2 moves right now are blanks, essentially for me. So I'll use that to get to another diplomacy to advance on Nibiru. And then I'll make, what is that going to be? 1, 2, so 2 energy isn't great, but I'll take it, I guess. Okay, yeah, that's not, like I said, that's not great, but it's workable. So over to the Rogue Galaxy. Somehow we're still leading in victory points. That's a culture, so they produce 2 of each. I've got to keep an eye on them maxing out again on both of those. So I probably am going to want to reroll resource. I'm probably going to want to reroll production here. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to stop that one. Well, that's a blank right now. Well, that will regress the ship on K-Widow. That's a diplomacy. That I'm going to be following here in about... Alright, so that finishes them off on Naka, which sends my ship back. So they're up to now... What are they up to now? 4, 6, 9 victory points. And then once I follow them on that diplomacy, I'm going to advance to Nibiru. Advance on Nibiru, which will give me 7 victory points, which will bring me up to 5, 12. So I'm leading, but I'm not in a great position. So replacing Nibiru will be Gort, which is an economy planet producing energy. Move one of your orbiting ships to an equal number of another planet's orbit. This may colonize the planet for 7 victory points. And our other replacement is Maya, producing culture. It's a diplomacy planet. Discard 2 inactive dice to acquire 2 energy and 2 culture for 5 victory points. So that's following the culture. So that's following the diplomacy and utilizing another colony. So I regress one of my ships -1, but I don't have one to regress. So they'll upgrade their empire again, going up to 12 victory points. And now they've got 3 dice that are unfollowable actions. So hopefully we don't get hit with too many whammies here. That's a diplomacy, which is, well, it's not catastrophic at this point. It's going to give them, potentially give them another 7 victory points, but there's no help for that at this point. Energy will produce 2 of each, which gives them 2 energy to start with, but these are still from culture being maxed out. And producing another 2 resources. So actually they produce 1 energy, which could have been a lot worse for us, but we're still not in a great position here. But I want to see a lot of, I think ideally I want to see a lot of economy here. Huh. That is not great in the slightest. Right. So I guess I'll use the Use a move to send a ship to Maya. Yeah, let's go to Maya. Then I'll use a diplomacy to advance on Maya. Then I will... This is basically a disaster at this point. Then I'll use those two moves to convert this die to an economy, which will let me advance on... No, I want to convert that to a diplomacy, actually, so I can advance on Maya. I'm going to need to work fast. And this energy will give me one more energy. So I've got some follow power, but not a lot. So going into the Rogue Galaxy's turn... That's a culture production, so they gain 3 culture and 3 energy. Yikes. Well, I think they just won the game because, as you can see up here on the galaxy track, when they upgrade their empire, they just win the game. So it's basically the same as them getting 21 victory points. Utilizing a colony, which Rogue steals 2 resources of my choice. They'll steal 2 energy, because why not? Producing more culture, which is not great either. More culture, which is a blank right now, but they're actually rolling 7 dice as well. Producing more culture. Stealing 2 more resources of their choice. They'll steal 2 more energy, because why not? Not that I'm doing anything with it anyway. And stealing resources again. So they theoretically steal my last culture, but they don't have, but they're already maxed out. So first they resolve the upgrade, which upgrades them to their max, to the max level of the Empire, and they've won the game. So that will do it for this playthrough of Tiny Epic Galaxies. As you can see, it's a very quick game, but I don't really know how crazy I am about the dice-controlled nature of the actions. Having some mitigation does somewhat help. It just really didn't feel like enough to me, especially with how crappy I was rolling pretty much all game. And I didn't really have that one change that could have opened the floodgates on just blowing the game wide open, which might have changed my opinion on the mitigation being enough or not. But it's easy enough to house rule that if you need to. For now, let's go ahead and wrap the video up. Space Month continues Sunday as we play Gaia Project, and next week we're sticking with the familiar in space as we play Star Realms. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.